Welcome to the Antidev podcast. I'm Aaron Tofani. I'm joined by Joseph Gallagher.
Hey.
Today we are talking about assets and a new feature addition that I wanted to talk about on the game here.
That's right.
So we're looking at purchasing some assets on the asset store. A lot of good things on there. Some of them not so suited for what we have, but then also free assets from places such as CG Textures, which I think is actually called Game Textures or something now. Double checking that. Textures.com. That's basically where all of the materials I make, I get the textures from there.
Mm-hmm.
But modeling every single thing that you make and then making a material for it tends to be better if you have a bigger team.
Oh yeah. Most definitely. Well, we had talked about too doing a 3D scanner.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and because I work in a business where I come across all kinds of stuff. I actually work in the antique business. I know it's kind of random, but we get so many different weird, unique items in at any given time. It'd be neat to have a 3D scanner would be able to do that. But that's just not time-wise. It's not feasible when we can just go on the marketplace and just buy some of those.
And especially cleaning up the model afterwards is kind of the downside of the 3D scanners. However, it does come out excellent as far as too many polys and then making them simple enough to get an actual UV unwrap on them and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, we're looking into several things, trash and random things on the asset store, which, by the way, there are a lot of things, and fairly reasonably priced.
Mm-hmm.
And also going to places like Turbo Squid, like I said, Textures.com. I use a lot of freesound.org, so for any of you else trying to make a game or something like that, you can basically find sounds with Creative Commons where it's either public domain or attribution, where you just have to credit them.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get basically any sound that you want. You may have to edit it and fix it up a little, but yeah.
Yeah, just because you you love an item or an object or a song or something doesn't necessarily mean you can put it in the game. You know, there's copyright laws and all that fun stuff. And we ran into that recently with on YouTube for the trailer, right?
Yeah, that was actually I got dinged for using the In the Pines War. What's the other? Where Did You Sleep Last Night? By Leadbelly, which was recorded in like 1923. American copyright law got all stupid, and I think in the 80s was when they made it, basically because of Disney wanting to keep all of their stuff out of the public domain for the rest of life. It's like Happy Birthday, owned by Warner Brothers, I believe, owns that. That song was made like 150 years ago by two school teachers. And they own the rights now. Those women are long dead, and yet still you have to pay Warner Brothers if you want to sing Happy Birthday.
Yeah.
Kind of ridiculous. But if you look into Creative Commons and attribution rights and things like that, there's a bunch of music, just all sorts of things that you can find easily on there.
Yeah.
And publicdomain.com, I believe, has a huge, I think it's called like archives now.
Yeah, that's your deal. Yeah, you're a
I
lot
look into
sharper
the
with
legal
that.
shit of this, you know.
Yeah.
Public
yeah.
domain archive. A whole bunch of things, including like videos and old stuff. But yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, well, that's like whenever I first started with you and we were working on, I think it was the bigger, more open city level that we're messing with. And I had taken some old Coca-Cola signs and taken pictures of them and put them in the game. And yeah, that ain't gonna cut it, you know. And I mean, if your game stays unknown, you know, and you're not trying to make money off of it, I mean, can you still get by with it if you're not selling your game? Like, say you're gonna do like a freeware version or something like that. Can you do stuff like that?
For the most part, money generates interest and thusly, you know, it gets attention. So a lot of people get away with fan games and things like that where they blatantly are basically abusing copyrights.
Yeah.
But as long as they're not making money off of them, you know, why stop them? It's kind of like the difference between Nintendo and their like streaming of games versus like Bethesda, Where Bethesda is like, yes, play the game, stream it, do whatever, we'll help you out and send it to you. And that's definitely the way we'll be with YouTube and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
But like Nintendo, you have to be a Nintendo partner and follow their codes of conduct if you're playing their game.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
You can just say goodbye to all that money you could have earned from, people playing your games on YouTube and things like that.
Yeah, see, I lost a lot of respect for Nintendo whenever they did that. It's attacking the little people for money, and it just makes no sense. When you're a multi-million-dollar company like that, and you're going after people that are just trying to enjoy playing your game, and fans are just enjoying watching someone play it or enjoying seeing it, it doesn't give the game away. I mean, it's like Mario Brothers. I mean, there really is no secret ending to the game. That it's always the same thing. You save the damn princess, and then next game she gets taken again. Same shit every single game, And I could understand if it was a very story-driven game and there was one ending, and
I mean, like even Telltale games, they're allowed to be broadcasted on YouTube and things like that.
Yep.
In those games, there are choices, but there's not a huge amount of choices, and you could watch the whole thing 2 or 3 times and get basically all you can out of it.
Yeah.
But it's nice to be that player and have that, control over what's happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I wanted to also talk about, I was thinking as far as ways to capture things like comedy and adventure into this game, which we don't have a whole lot of assets. We're not doing motion captured actors. There's not even going to be a whole lot of skeletal meshes, so we're like actual, characters inside the game. And what we're going to actually be going with is voices in your head.
Oh, yeah.
And if anyone's played Stanley Parable, it's like all of the comedy, all of the adventure, all of the game and the story is wrapped into basically this narrator and your interaction with them. So that's sort of the thing. If you're going to like wait around in the closet, then the game's going to notice that. That's the air quotes, notice. I made the air quotes, but now I'm letting you know I did.
I could hear them.
Exactly. Yep. But yeah, it's gonna notice. It's gonna goad you to go a certain way. It's going to tell you not to go a certain way, and that's your experience. Whether you choose to listen to one of the voices, not listen to the voices, do your own thing. I mean, that's definitely going to be a big part of it.
Yeah, yeah. We had talked about this in the past a little bit, and you had touched on it just a little bit. But I think yesterday you explained it to me to where it just made sense. Or was that today? No, I think it was yesterday we were talking about it. And it just seemed cool. And I said, let's do it. And that's the thing that's cool about this game is we're definitely flying by the seat of our pants to an extent. Any day as we talk and things change, the game can flip around. I mean, completely do a complete flip in things, the whole, I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but the whole direction of the game can change, just from a single conversation, and I think that's fun because we're always building on each other's ideas. So makes a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. And, the ability to do such and have such a small team and not be set in stone on things is, an advantage for sure.
Yeah.
And the disadvantage is all the ideas in my head that I'd like to do if, having a 100-man team, I can't do for the most part.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
But things like audio recording and, voice acting and things like that, those are actually very, I bought a compressor and some good recorders and things like that. Very, feasible as far as financially speaking and team level speaking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, like bigger teams, they're given guidelines. Okay, this is what you're going to do. This is how it's going to be. Maybe a little bit of gray area, but not much. It's pretty black and white. With ours, there's no black or white. It's just straight up gray. And it's cool. I mean, it's definitely a double-edged sword because at least with a big team that they have a set guidelines or they're going by, they know exactly what they're going to do. They know exactly where they're going. I'm the type of person, if I don't have decent guidelines, I will tinker with shit until I'm just frustrated. I'll say, ooh, I can change this and I can change this and I can change this. And all of a sudden I've done absolutely nothing, but that takes dedication. It takes, you just have to tell yourself to stop, and you've got a job that you need to complete, But
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, as you were saying, double-edged sword with it as far as being... Iteration is fantastic. You take a level and you build it, and then you're like, well, it's lacking this, this, and this that I need. And so you destroy the entire level, and then you restart, rebuild, do all of the things over again. And I know Joe's built several levels, and I've just said, nah, I need it different.
Yep. Oh, yeah, hell yeah.
And sometimes I'll be specific on the difference, and sometimes I will, it's just not working. Yep. And so that's how levels are thrown out, and we have about 30 levels in a game that'll probably have, 8.
Yeah. Well, we were talking last episode about the dream sequence, kind of weird level. It's going to be... There might be some platforming because I love platforming, but I want to make platforming in the first person fun. Because a lot of games where I do platforming in first person, it's just not fun. It's real clunky. It's real floaty feeling. I don't want that, But that level, I have worked on it for hours and hours and hours, and then just to turn around and completely deleted it and started from complete scratch. And I think we finally now have a general idea of what we're going to do with it. But
well, I mean, the main thing that you're doing all the time whenever you're working is always learning.
Yes. Oh, definitely.
And that's probably what I've learned the most about any of these is, you try and you try to learn something and do it and then recreate it exactly. I'm big on reference photos or, reference games or things like this, and I try to get that. And it's almost like when me and you used to make music, Joe.
Oh, yeah.
Listen to a song and it was like, I want something like that, and then it turns into an entirely different thing, even though it was kind of based on something else in the beginning.
Oh, yeah. I remember spending hours and hours writing these riffs, putting them together, thinking you would like it. And I'd come to practice and you'd be like, yeah, I don't like that at all. I mean, it's the same concept, it just because it was scratched.
I am an asshole.
No, you're not an asshole. You can be, but but you spend all this time doing all this and writing so-called the perfect song or designing the perfect level or the perfect asset or whatever, and it gets scratched, but you learn so much while you were doing that. And you can't get frustrated. I remember the first time in the game you scratched something of mine, you said we're going to do a house. I said, all right, cool. I got this. Of course, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And I got the walls up, the hallways and the doorways and all this stuff. And what I thought at the time was fantastic. I even put in a fireplace. And matter of fact, what brought this up is I was going through some of those old photos at work, and I saw that fireplace. Holy shit, it's horrible looking. and at the time, it was the best damn thing I've ever seen, And you're like, yeah, no, the scale's off, the roof's too short, the doors are too wide, the wall's too thick, yada yada yada. And that's where you say reference photos. I don't like reference photos, but damn it, they do come in handy. If you're downtown walking around and you see a building you like, get your phone out, take a bunch of pictures of it, because when you get home, I mean, it'd be neat to be able to put that in a game that you're working on, if you're going for that style.
It's almost like trying to remember a dream or something like that. You try to get even in a room that you're familiar with, you try to build your own house in Unreal or something like that, you're probably going to be way off proportion.
Yes.
It's nice to have actual measurements and use Unreal units as centimeters, and you're generally pretty fine.
Yeah, and I live in a fairly small town. It's not super small, but it's definitely not metropolitan at all. But I was downtown about a year ago, and I was taking reference photos of some of the buildings and how the sidewalks and the curbs interacted with each other, and how those interacted with the buildings, how everything was set up, and windows and all that stuff. And it was funny because it was like 100 damn degrees outside, and I've got my camera, and I'm just walking around taking pictures of corners of buildings. I'm taking pictures of the ground, and the manhole rings and lids, taking pictures of all that stuff, and gutters and everything. And people looked at me like I was on some serious drugs, But when you get back to working
in the
on
town that you live in, so
yeah. Well, those little things count. Those are the little details that some people tend to leave out of their games, and how a building matches together, and how the guttering goes on it, and how the roof interacts with that, and those little details help. But you can take that too far. You can go in so much detail that you're just killing any progress that you could make too.
Yeah, for sure. There's a knowing when to limit yourself, and I'm the guy that will sit on there messing with the the LUTs, which is
Oh God, yeah.
the color lookup tables, and I will sit there and just color grade and fix everything to where it looks all ridiculous, and I'll do that for days on a level.
Oh yeah, you'll
ends
drive
up
me
looking
fucking
good,
nuts.
but
Yeah.
I normally do it like way before it's time to actually do it, like before the
You-
level's actually done, and then you try to go in there and fix things, and you're like, I can't see anything.
Oh yeah, well that drives me fucking nuts because I'm talking about trying to get corners to match up and objects to look right and everything in the right position, and I work normally in lit, right? Yeah, not unlit, lit, or vice versa. I always get those mixed up, but where everything's bright from all different directions, and I have to do that because you'll go in there and fuck with the lighting so much. Yeah, you're setting the ambiance and everything, but you do it so early on.
See, for me building it, I have to like feel what the end result's going to be kind of like, so I can then start moving things around for that. It's like I'm beta testing as I go, which is kind of not the way that you should do it necessarily, but it's the way I do it.
Well, it is, and one thing that is kind of nice, like when we were working with the underground tunnels, is it was really neat to be able to lay down some stuff and then go in there and see what it looked like with all the correct lighting and everything. It was kind of neat. But I mean, when you're trying to get like door jambs and doors and hinges and all that and everything and all the walls and ceilings and all that to match up, it helps to have it lit up pretty good, So
It's definitely true.
We drive each other nuts, but we love it. How about that? So, I don't know.
Indeed. But yeah, that's pretty much our show for this week. I mean, I'm thinking we probably do like 2 a week, and do a longer one and a shorter one, and this will be our shorter one this week.
Yep.
We will be getting back to getting some more assets into the game and working out, like I said, my dossier of the game itself, and we'll definitely be keeping you all updated.
Yep.
Judy, do you have our Twitter and things?
Oh, I'm supposed to be prepared,
Obviously
right?
You don't.
Actually, I've got them pulled up from last episode. We've got the Facebook, your favorite Facebook at Antisocial Games.
Facebook.
We've got Twitter at Antisocial Dev. Probably Twitter and YouTube. YouTube obviously is Antisocial Games. That's your baby. And if you want to message us or talk to us or anything, Antisocial, or no, I'm sorry, on Twitter or YouTube are definitely the two best places to get a hold of us. And we do have emails set up. I don't want to give that information out just yet, just because we don't check them enough. And it's much easier if you just hit us up on Twitter or on YouTube in the messages. Or Facebook, send me a message on Facebook.
Yeah, for sure. Joe will check the Facebook, I check the YouTube, and we both check the Twitter. So, be sure and let us know.
Yep.
Once again, thanks for watching. We're Antisocial Games. This has been the Antidev podcast, and thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.